Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited. John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. Today, the Department of Justice has decided not to bring federal civil rights charges against Daniel Pantaleo, the police officer alleged to have choked out Eric Garner almost 5 years ago. And with this decision being handed down by Donald Trump's Department of Justice, black people have more of a reason to stay home in 2020 because we can't get any tangibles from either the Democrats or the Republicans. Now, many people are upset over Donald Trump's recent tweet on Twitter where he made a comment telling 4 non-black congresswomen to go back to their countries and to clean up their own countries. And when I look at that statement, yes, it is a racist statement. However, when it comes down to black people, this has absolutely nothing to do with us and is more of a reason for us to stay home when it comes down to the 2020 election, because these groups do not want to give us any sort of tangibles, and if they don't want to give us any sort of tangibles, then we have no incentive to go to the polls in either 2019 or 2020 to vote for either of these political parties, because when a man like Eric Garner can be choked out by someone like Daniel Pantaleo, and Daniel Pantaleo can get to stay on his job in the NYPD for 5 years at a 6-figure salary and get several raises, then that shows black people how little value the life of a black man has in this society. And what's really troubling about the case of Eric Garner is the fact that Obama's criminal Department of Justice, run by your Eric Holder and your Loretta Lynch, didn't do anything regarding the case of Eric Garner, and Donald Trump's Department of Justice, run by Jeff Sessions and the other new Attorney General, also chose to do nothing, showing us all that when it comes down to the justice system here in America, the justice system is against black men, whether it be a Democrat or a Republican, and because it is against black men, then black men, most of all, have most of a reason to not vote in the next election, because if we can't get any sort of tangibles as related to getting justice in a criminal justice system where it is a clear case of bias, because when I take a critical examination of the case of Eric Garner, it's the own police department's coroner's reports and stuff said that this was an illegal chokehold, and your Daniel Pantaleo, even in the face of using this illegal chokehold, is still on the NYPD payroll 5 years later. And 5 years later, the mayor who was running New York at the time, Bill de Blasio, is now running for president. And that's really troubling because in the case of this Eric Garner, you would think that this mayor, who's supposed to be married to a black woman and has biracial children, would be concerned about this Eric Garner case, because when it comes down to Eric Garner, his child could be in the same place as Eric Garner in white supremacist America. But your Bill de Blasio doesn't connect the dots on that, and that shows how out of touch these Democrats are as related to black men and black men's civil rights, and it also shows how they are disconnected as related to the civil rights of black men on the Republican side. And when I look at both sides, they do not bring anything to the table to black men, and they do not offer us any sort of tangible as related to protecting the civil rights of black men in this country. Because over the last decade, we have seen a complete vicious assault on heterosexual black men's civil rights, from George Zimmerman getting a pass for the murder of Trayvon Martin, the murder of Mike Brown by Darren Wilson, and the choke out of Eric Garner, and no sort of criminal justice done in any of these cases and numerous cases of black men. And this is even with a black male Attorney General, the first black male Attorney General, Eric Holder, under Barack Obama, a president who's supposed to be our first black president, and someone you would think would be concerned about black men's civil rights. We didn't get any sort of justice back with Barack Obama, and we get no justice right now under your Donald Trump. So it shows me that it doesn't matter which political party is in place. When it comes down to black men have no civil rights in this country, and that can be shown to us with the way Bill Cosby was recently railroaded in a Philadelphia court run by your Democratic Party and a Democratic district attorney. So it doesn't matter what political party that is out there. When it comes down to black men have no civil recourse as related to the criminal justice system. And if we can't get any justice in the courts, then it's time for us to not participate in the upcoming elections, because if we can't get any tangibles as related to anything as related to the government, then we have no incentive to go out here and vote for any candidate as related to their political party, because they bring us nothing in terms of tangibles in order to ensure our basic safety. I mean, what incentive does a black man or a black woman have to vote in a 2019 or 2020 election if we can't even be assured of our own safety when we're trying to go to the polls? If we can't even be assured of safety as we are going out every day, then we have no less incentive to go to these polls. And it doesn't matter whether it be a Donald Trump being the president or Barack Obama being president, we get the same injustice and the same results from the criminal justice system, and we get the same results as related to things here in America. So if America can't be great for black men, then black men need to not vote and participate in a system that offers us nothing in terms of security so that we can get the tangibles, or even efforts to make us a way to protect our tangibles. And if we can't get any security and protection for our tangibles, then as I see it, then we just need to let Donald Trump remain president of the United States, because all these people who are in an uproar about this so-called racist tweet on Twitter, why aren't they in an outrage about this injustice against Eric Garner? And it shows, again, the hypocrisy of most Americans. They are upset because Donald Trump told these 4 non-black congresswomen to go back and fix their dysfunction in their countries and places where they live, which is our United States of America in 3 out of the 4 cases. And most people in America don't want to go and fix the problems in their own country, because this railroading of Bill Cosby and this recent travesty of justice with Eric Garner shows that Americans are nothing more than hypocrites when it comes down to the concept of justice. They tell people to go fix get upset about Donald Trump telling people to go fix the problems where they are, but in actuality, they don't want to fix the problem as related to our broken criminal justice system, a criminal justice system that does not give black men the same equal rights under the law, the same right to due process under the law, and makes efforts to undermine any effort to get justice for black men like Eric Garner, because most of those police officers who were arresting Eric Garner for those loose cigarettes, many of those same police officers will pass right by an Arab-owned store where they sell loose cigarettes every day, and there's nobody making an effort to arrest any of those Arab store owners or even give them any sort of fine. So we clearly see there is a pattern of discrimination as related to black men, and that black men can't get any sort of justice here in America, and we can't get any sort of protection for our rights here in America. So again, the only action that black people can take as related to this recent decision by the Department of Justice is not to get mad at the Trump administration as related to these charges, but go back and realize that when you look at it from a panoramic perspective, that we couldn't get any justice under two black attorney generals, your Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, and we couldn't get any justice under two white Republican attorney generals. And since we couldn't get any justice and the tangible of justice that would ensure that black men's civil rights would be protected, then we need to go out here and not vote in the 2020 election, because the only way to send a message to these politicians about taking black men's civil rights for granted and not giving us the tangible of civil rights and making sure that we are safe is to make sure that these politicians have no security and not being able to take the black vote for granted. So if we can't get any tangibles, then you can't get any votes. And at this point, I could care less whether a Democrat wins the election or the Republican wins the election, because neither party is serving my interests and neither party is looking out for my security or my safety here in these United States of America. Because in order for black men to be great here in America, we need to have a assurance of security. So we're not getting that, and since we're not getting that, we need to just stay home at the polls. And that's why I just look at this from the panoramic picture and see no reason for black men to vote, because when it came down to Eric Garner, if he didn't have any basic civil rights, then why should he use his right to vote, if he were alive, to vote for Democrats like your Bill de Blasio, who is now the mayor of New York running for president, a mayor who did nothing for Eric Garner, and a mayor who would do nothing as the president of these United States that would be any different than Donald Trump was doing right now or Barack Obama did 8 years ago. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to donate via PayPal or Cash App, you can also donate by clicking those links in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, you may also do that by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.